I am genuinely still trying to regulate my nervous system right now.
Oh, I know. It's a lot.
Like, I am sitting here staring at a blank wall, just trying to mentally process the absolute hurricane of delusion we just witnessed.
It was a masterclass in chaos.
When Tisha slapped that neon pink spackle onto her unfinished commercial office wall, babes, I felt my own soul leave my body.
Right. It wasn't just drywall repair. It was a structural collapse of a marriage, broadcast in high definition.
Literally. A cry for help. But anyway, good morning, babes.
Good morning.
Snark Squad, we hope your weekend spiral is in full force today. We love you, we see you, and babes, we are so grateful to have you here in the mess with us.
Because unpacking this level of dysfunction, it requires a highly medicated, well-hydrated village.
It really does. Which brings us to our coping mechanism for the evening. We are officially channeling our inner Southern belles tonight, babes.
Oh, absolutely. The signature drink is on deck.
Yes, we have our rum-spiked mango lemonades, and babes, let me tell you, it is so good.
It's dangerous, is what it is.
It is. It's, like, so refreshing. But
it tastes like summer in a cup, but it's definitely giving, vacation in Mexico, but emotionally unstable.
Exactly. Like, you think you're relaxed, and then the rum hits, and you're suddenly crying over something that happened in, like, 2018.
Cheers to the Snark Squad.
Cheers. Ugh, God, we needed this. Because our brains are already completely fried from our own weekend delusions.
Oh, fried.
We have to tell the Snark Squad what we just went through. Babes, we just got back from our Italian class.
And I use the word class very loosely.
Right. This is our third adult Italian class, and it is so humbling.
It's basically just paying money to experience the sheer panic of forgetting how to speak.
It really is. Like,
Yeah.
learning a new language as an adult is wild. You walk in wanting to give this effortless, cultured European elegance.
Oh, totally. Coastal, grand millennial vibe.
Exactly. But you end up sounding like a toddler who just bumped their head. I'm sitting there feeling entirely awkward, forgetting basic phrases we learned literally 5 minutes ago.
And low-key sweating just trying to form a verb. Sweating. But then, oh my God, then there is Giovanni.
Ah, yes. The actual reason we are enrolled.
I get flustered just mentioning him. Babes, Giovanni is our instructor, and he is just stunningly attractive.
He's a menace.
How are we supposed to focus on conjugating your regular verbs when he looks like that? He leans over the desk, points at the whiteboard, and my brain just completely flatlines.
I will happily go on record and admit I've retained 0 Italian in 3 weeks.
Literally nothing.
But I have learned a lot about my own susceptibility to marketing because, honestly, if Giovanni looked me in the eyes and told me to buy a timeshare in a Florida swamp, I would max out every credit card I own.
Oh, I'd sign the paperwork immediately, no questions asked.
The man could sell me literally anything.
So, to soothe our wounded egos and pretend we were actually cultured, we went straight for Italian food after class.
In honor of Giovanni,
Obviously.
Right.
Babes, we went to Max's, and it was amazing. The elite vibes, unmatched.
The red wine was flowing, the baked ziti, the garlic bread, the whole cozy romantic energy. I'm telling you, adult life is honestly just navigating stress and then neutralizing it with carbohydrates.
It's 100% better when food and wine are involved.
So much better. And babes, if Max's wants to sponsor the Snark Squad, slide into our DMs, babe. We will eat garlic bread on microphone with 0 shame.
Not at all. Send the ziti.
Okay, so babes, we are fed, we are hydrated, we are slightly delusional, and we are fully ready for this mess.
Let's get into it, because trying to learn Italian is exactly how Marsau must feel trying to learn basic empathy.
Oh my God, yes. Completely lost and refusing to read the syllabus.
Let's pull out the blueprints on this Tisha and Marsau disaster zone, because it's a fascinating psychological case study.
I literally cannot unsee the visual. Tisha is in her unfinished commercial office space, right?
Yeah.
In full glam.
Naturally.
And she has completely bypassed her husband because she is so tired of the construction delays. So she decides, you know what, I'll do the drywall myself.
And out comes the pink spackle.
Furiously slapping pink spackle over the holes. Why pink?
The color choice is what elevates it from a tantrum to high art. It's not just speckle, it's Barbie-core structural defiance.
That is exactly what it is. But wait, let's set the stage for Marsau's entrance here.
Mm-hmm.
Because where is Marsau coming from?
Oh, he casually strolls in, fresh off a solo trip to Rome.
I was screaming at my television. Why is the quote-unquote leader of the family going to Europe without his wife?
Well, let's dissect the audacity of that trip. He literally mentions that he originally planned this Rome excursion for Christmas, or like possibly for their 20th anniversary.
Right.
But instead of taking his wife, he just goes by himself. And then he walks into her office, sees her desperately trying to finish a project that he has completely neglected, and immediately shifts into this condescending project manager mode.
It is so infuriating. He looks at the walls and declares, mission unaccomplished.
Such a jerk move.
She is trying to build something independent. She asks him for a progress update, and he tells her she is doing a terrible job, sending the wrong message and damaging their brand.
The brand. Always the brand.
Always. Babes, think about this. It's like doing a massive group project, but your partner goes on a European vacation, ignores all your emails, so you finally just turn in a macaroni diorama out of pure spite.
Exactly.
And then they show up on presentation day to critique the angle of your pasta.
That analogy perfectly captures the sheer hypocrisy of his position. But, like, let's look at the underlying mechanics here. Why is Marsau actually mad?
Right, tell me.
It's not about the drywall technique. It is entirely a battle for control over her autonomy. He is deeply, fundamentally threatened that Tisha is abandoning his so-called 5-year plan.
Okay, wait, I'm going to play devil's advocate for a quick second, because I want to push back on this.
Do it.
If we put ourselves in Marsau's shoes, and I know it's a tight shoe, he claims that she begged to come home years ago.
He does say that.
He says he worked 2 or 3 jobs to give her that stay-at-home mom life, to fund this entire lifestyle. Doesn't he have a tiny bit of a right to feel blindsided when she suddenly decides she wants to be a real estate mogul and changes the rules?
See, it's a fair question, but it relies on a flawed premise of how marriages actually function.
How so?
What you're describing is a static contract.
Yeah.
But marriage requires dynamic consent. Yes, maybe 10 years ago she wanted to stay home, but humans evolve.
Right. She grew up.
Exactly. The issue isn't that she changed her mind. The issue is that Marsau treats her evolution as a literal breach of contract.
Worried, right?
He feels like he bought a specific version of a wife with his hard work, and now she's refusing to play the role he financed.
Breach of contract, yes.
Yeah.
Because he actually says to her, my dedication has been to the team every time, and now she's come up with this different thing, and this right here is for her, not for us.
Right. And notice his language. He proudly declares he's doing everything BMDS by my damn self.
Ugh, the ego.
The cognitive dissonance is staggering. He demands that she act like a loyal member of his team, but he treats her like a rogue intern who just spilled coffee on his blueprints.
Yes.
You cannot demand a co-captain while treating them like a subordinate.
And she calls him out on it. She looked at him and says, stop saying we're on the same team. We're not on the same team.
Good for her.
And then, babes, he hits her with the most egomaniacal line of the season. He says, why did God give you a smart man and a good leader if you're not going to listen?
The grandiosity required to say that out loud on camera is breathtaking.
My jaw unhinged. I was on the floor. And her response was actually pretty sharp. She says, well, God also blessed you with a smart woman.
Which is true.
And how does he react? He threatens to take his last name back. Because she said she represents Tisha Scott, not Letitia Moore. He basically tells her, then give me my name back. Over pink spackle.
Unbelievable. The Reddit threads were absolutely dissecting this power dynamic this morning.
Oh, what are the streets saying?
Well, one user pointed out that Marsau acts like a punk and speaks to Tisha so meanly, specifically because he knows she struggles to articulate her anger.
That's so true, she gets flustered.
Right. But another user dropped a really compelling theory that we need to unpack. They noted that Tisha is definitely stuck in a state of arrested development, hence the rebellious teenager energy of the pink spackle.
Makes sense.
But they theorized that Marsau only stays in this marriage because, and I quote, it's cheaper to keep her. Do we agree with that?
Wow. That is a devastating read.
Yeah.
But honestly,
Yeah.
I think it is the most logical explanation for his behavior.
Right. Just look at the assets.
Look at the sheer volume of wealth they have accumulated. The businesses, Scott Manor, the commercial properties, the LLCs. If Tisha were to file for divorce, she is entitled to half of that empire.
Exactly.
Marsau's entire identity is wrapped up in his wealth and his perception as this titan of industry. A divorce would financially gut him. He doesn't want to lose half of his glory.
He literally said on camera that she wants to create her own glory, but that it's actually Marsau's glory.
The man thinks he owns the sun.
He views her independence as a hostile corporate takeover of his life's work. When she says, I just want to be a better version of me, he doesn't hear personal growth.
What does he hear?
He hears, I am building a lifeboat to leave you. And that terrifies a man who bases his entire self-worth on being the unquestioned provider.
It is exhausting to watch.
No.
But, okay, speaking of exhausting power struggles, we have to transition to the other couple currently trying to rewrite their own history.
Oh boy, here we go.
Because while Marsau is trying to control the future, Tisha is out here desperately trying to rewrite the past.
Ugh.
We need to talk about Ken, Tisha, and this entire spinning the block mess.
The evolution of this narrative is just a fascinating study in reality TV public relations.
Let's set the table for anyone who missed the nuances of this timeline. A few weeks ago, Tisha introduces this phrase to the group, spinning the block.
Iconic phrase, honestly.
She tells the girls at the drag party that she and Ken were on a quote-unquote break, and during that break, she spun the block on an ex. Now, what completely shattered my mind was the sheer, unadulterated joy on her face when she confessed this.
The enthusiasm was palpable. She wasn't confessing a sin. She was bragging about an accomplishment.
Yes. Someone in the group was confused and asked, "Wait, what does spun the block mean?" And another girl clarified, "It means you slept with them at one time and you slept with them again."
A very clear definition.
And Tisha is sitting there nodding, smiling this huge smile, and says, "Yeah, that's exactly what I did." She looks so proud.
She did.
But cut to this week, Ken is now involved in the conversation, and the story completely fractures. Suddenly, she is backpedaling, she is stuttering, and she is gaslighting the entire viewing audience.
Let's break down the mechanics of her strategic retreat here.
Please do.
When confronted, she realizes Ken's ego is on the line, so she attempts to redefine colloquial slang.
Which you cannot do.
She looks at the group and says, "Spin the block does not mean sexual. I didn't mean it sexual."
I threw my hands in the air. You cannot just alter the Urban Dictionary definition of a wildly popular phrase because your husband looks uncomfortable.
It doesn't work like that.
I didn't mean it sexual. Please. Spinning the block is not catching up over a matcha latte at Starbucks. We all know exactly what it means.
It was a fascinating display of cognitive dissonance. First, it wasn't sexual. Then, when the group aggressively presses her and doesn't buy the lie, she finally cracks.
Folds like a cheap lawn chair.
Exactly, and she admits, okay, we both stepped out, so now it is sexual again.
Yeah.
But she desperately wants the group to just accept the sanitized, heavily redacted version of events that she originally sold to Ken.
She sold him a fairy tale.
Yeah.
And the Snark squad is not letting her get away with it. Someone in the comments asked the most valid question. Does Trish ever tell the truth? That stuttering lying is obnoxious.
And it really is.
She couldn't keep a timeline straight if you drew it on a whiteboard for her.
What we're watching is the tension between private truth and public brand. She claims she told Ken the truth when they supposedly sat down to heal.
Right.
But look at the micro-expressions on the rest of the cast's faces. Even her friends are looking at her like, do we really believe Ken knows the full extent of this?
The consensus in the room is a resounding no.
Absolutely not.
He is entirely in the dark about the details. And to prove how incredibly healed and fine they are, they decide to go on a double date.
A double date of doom.
But who do they choose for this showcase of marital stability? Destiny and Will. And Will is described on screen by multiple people as a walking red flag.
A parade of red flags.
Yet Tisha is sitting there fiercely defending him, saying she likes Will because he's fun and honest.
The psychological projection happening there is incredible.
Explain that for the babes.
Well, the irony of Tisha, a woman currently constructing a labyrinth of lies around her own infidelity, valuing quote-unquote honesty in another man's highly questionable behavior. It's a chef's kiss moment of reality television.
Oh, that is so true.
She likes Will because his blatant red flags make her covert red flags look subtle by comparison.
She needs a distraction. So they are sitting at this dinner, drinking water, forcing smiles, and Ken is putting on this brave face. He delivers this rehearsed monologue about how they decided to put the past behind them because they are better together.
Better together, sure.
But I have to ask you, and I really want to know what the Snark squad thinks too, are Tisha and Ken actually better together because they've done the deep emotional work?
Yeah.
Or are they just absolutely terrified of being single on reality TV?
If we look at the historical mechanics of reality TV relationships, it is almost entirely the latter.
Right.
Being part of a couple gives you a built-in storyline, a sparring partner, and guaranteed screen time. It's job security.
That makes so much sense.
If Tisha and Ken actually divorce, they have to navigate the ensemble cast as single people. That means fighting for airtime, finding new alliances, and risking being phased out entirely by a more dramatic couple.
They'd lose their spot.
They are clinging to each other, not because the relationship is seaworthy, but because they're terrified of drowning in obscurity.
Drowning in obscurity. Wow. That is exactly it. They are holding on for dear life, white-knuckling this narrative of a healed marriage, while the truth is quite literally leaking out of every scene.
But you know who isn't worried about abstract things like obscurity?
Who?
Chris Fletcher. Because Chris Fletcher is dealing with the very real, very tangible loss of his actual career.
Oh my God, yes. I have been waiting to talk about this real estate scandal for weeks, because the show has been dancing around the severity of it.
Minimizing it completely.
The cast keeps saying things like, oh, Chris is having some license trouble, or Chris is dealing with the commission. No. Let's be explicitly clear. The Alabama Real Estate Commission did not just suspend his license. They revoked it. Revoked.
We need to inject some legal reality into this discussion because the spin he is putting on it is dangerous.
Bring the receipts.
I have them. The commission doesn't revoke a license over a minor clerical error. He was found guilty of 6 specific documented violations, resulting in fines totaling between $13,000 and $15,000.
That is massive.
That is the regulatory body bringing a sledgehammer down on his career.
And his defense. It is purely comedic. He is sitting there trying to convince Marsau that he was, quote-unquote, set up while trying to look out for a client.
As if.
He actually says, my intentions were good. Since when do intentions pay a $15,000 state fine?
They don't.
You do not accidentally rack up 6 ethical violations because you were just being a really helpful guy. But what truly sent me into orbit was the audacity he displayed during his confrontation with Marsau.
The entitlement was staggering. Marsau is legitimately and rightfully furious.
Completely justified.
They were in the middle of discussing a massive multi-property business partnership, and Chris conveniently omitted the tiny detail that he was legally stripped of his ability to practice real estate.
Just slipped his mind. A minor oversight. And when Marsau confronts him about the liability and the lying, Chris doesn't apologize. He doesn't take accountability.
Of course not.
He looks Marsau dead in the eye and delivers the most delusional line of the year. I'm more of a pillar in this community than you will ever be.
It's the sheer bravado of a man who has lost all his leverage, has no legal standing, but absolutely refuses to break character.
A pillar. Sir, you do not have a license. What kind of pillar are you? You are a crumbling column of regulatory fraud.
It's textbook narcissistic injury. Instead of admitting defeat, he attacks Marsau's status.
I choked on my drink when he said that. But the fallout from this isn't just contained to Chris. It's bleeding into the wives' circle, because Nell is now out here working overtime to defend the indefensible.
Which brings us to her incredibly fragile sit-down with Destiny.
The tension in that scene. They finally meet up to supposedly clear the air after the massive blowout over Chris's license.
And on the surface, they make nice, they smile, they nod, they agree to move forward.
But if you watch Destiny's body language, she is heavily on guard. She does not trust Nell at all.
Nor should she. Destiny is actively questioning the underlying motives of this entire circle right now. And psychologically, she is making the right call.
Because Nell is covering for Chris.
Exactly. When someone shows you they are willing to aggressively cover up major legal and ethical failings just to protect their husband's image, you have to assume they will lie to you about absolutely anything else.
Trust requires a shared reality.
And Nell is operating in a fictional universe where Chris is a victim.
Destiny knows she's being handled. And this underlying tension bleeds perfectly into the next event. Destiny hosts a self-defense class for domestic violence survivors at Rocket City Boxing.
Shout out to Mr. Juicy, the trainer, by the way.
Yes, shout out Mr. Juicy. Now, Nell shows up, Trish shows up, Kimi shows up.
Yeah.
But Tisha...
And nowhere to be found.
Tisha sends this weak, cowardly text message saying, thanks for the invite, I can't make it, but I want you to be there. What is that?
It's a tactical retreat. She is hiding. And we know exactly why she is hiding.
Because of the absolute bloodbath that she initiated at the drag party.
It's a drag party blowout.
I am still recovering from what Tisha said. Destiny and Tisha got into a heated argument. And instead of sticking to the topic, Tisha goes entirely below the belt.
Way below.
Destiny is upset, and Tisha looks at her and says, the only person that don't defend you is your husband.
Let's analyze the cruelty of that statement. Tisha knows exactly what Destiny is going through in her marriage. It was a calculated precision strike designed to inflict maximum emotional damage.
She has a kill shot. But I have a question about Tisha's motivation here. Why go that hard? Why attack Destiny's crumbling marriage when Tisha herself is slapping pink spackle on walls because her own husband ignores her?
It is classic deflection through projection.
I'll break that down.
Tisha feels incredibly small and powerless in her dynamic with Marsau. He talks down to her, he dismisses her businesses, he goes to Rome without her.
Right.
So when she gets into a conflict with Destiny, she punches down to regain a sense of superiority. If she can make Destiny feel abandoned by a man, Tisha doesn't have to face her own feelings of abandonment.
Wow. Misery really does demand an audience. So Destiny calls her out for deflecting, and what happens? Tisha refuses to show up to the boxing gym. She threw a verbal grenade and then ran for cover.
The situational irony is almost too perfect. Destiny throws a literal self-defense class immediately after Tisha verbally assaults her. You cannot write this level of passive-aggressive Southern shade.
It writes itself.
Tisha knows full well that if she walks into that boxing ring, Destiny might accidentally on purpose practice a combination on her jaw.
I would pay premium pay-per-view prices to see Destiny put Tisha in a headlock, I'm not going to lie. Just one little tap from Mr. Juicy to settle the score.
It would be incredible television.
But instead, Tisha stays home, and the rest of the group is left to spiral into even more chaotic rumors. Which brings us to the absolute messiest, most chaotic storyline of the entire season.
The family tree is fully diseased.
Babes, we need to talk about the brotherly summits and the secret niece dating scandal.
This is where the interpersonal dynamics stop being just messy and start bordering on toxic enmeshment.
I cannot believe this is a real storyline. Twan, who is Marsau's brother, is secretly dating Kayla, who is Nell's daughter.
Let the utter awkwardness of their future family Thanksgiving dinners wash over you.
Past the turkey and the trauma.
The red flags here are flying at full mast. First, there is a significant age gap, which inherently creates a power imbalance.
High time.
Second, Twan has a complex, hidden past an ex-wife, children, that he wasn't exactly transparent about. But the most explosive element of this entire debacle isn't the relationship itself, it's how Twan managed the optics.
He lied. He looked Destiny dead in the face and lied.
Yep.
Destiny went to him privately, had a very casual conversation, and explicitly asked about the rumors swirling around him and Kayla. And Twan tells her, oh, that ain't true.
Right.
So Destiny, thinking she has the facts straight from the source, goes back and tells the group it's false, and then the truth comes out. And Destiny is left looking like a massive bone carrier who spreads misinformation.
He weaponized her credibility. In the ecosystem of reality television, production loves a bone carrier, you know? The person who moves information from one camp to another.
Always feed on it.
Twan used Destiny as an unwitting PR agent to spread a lie, knowing she would take the fall when it blew up. Nell is furious at the gossip, and Destiny is furious that she was used.
Destiny says it's crazy that people volunteer rumors and tell you it's not true for it to be true.
It's pure manipulation.
She is collateral damage in their weird game of semantics. Because Twan is out here saying he's just chilling, but Kayla says they're dating. Chilling to be dating, dating to be chilling. I cannot keep up with this generational slang to avoid commitment.
It's exhausting.
And while the extended family is creating chaos, the core Scott brothers decide it's time to have a summit. Marsau, Maurice, and Martel all get together to have a serious, quote-unquote, talk like men.
Which is really just code for a masterclass in toxic masculine ego protection.
Literally, they sit down, supposedly, to sort out their competitive nature and establish business boundaries.
Yeah.
But what actually happens?
It immediately devolves.
Maurice threatens Marsau with paperwork. He actually wants to formally sue or legally penalize his own brother over the Jordan Lane project, which is reportedly a full year behind schedule.
A year.
A year. How do you misplace 365 days on a construction project?
You misplace it when your project manager is too busy taking solo trips to Italy to assert his dominance.
Oh my God, yes.
But the threat of paperwork between brothers is a massive escalation.
It is. And how does Marsau react? He hasn't apologized for the delay. He fires right back and calls his brother Maurice a sleazy lawyer.
He really did.
He literally calls him your little slimy ass to his face on camera.
The disrespect.
But wait, we cannot ignore the real mastermind here. We have to talk about Kimmy's involvement in this summit.
Kimmy is the invisible hand moving the pieces on the board.
She is the Wizard of Oz pulling the strings.
Yeah.
She openly admits in her confessional that she is giving Maurice grief behind the scenes, specifically so that Maurice will go out and manage Marsau.
She says, I share my frustration with my husband, he listens, and he gets the jobs done.
Now, part of me respects a woman who can motivate her husband, But isn't she just pouring gasoline on a sibling rivalry?
She is initiating a proxy war. Instead of addressing the systemic issues in how the family does business, she weaponizes her husband's loyalty to attack his brother.
It's strategically brilliant, but relationally destructive.
And this dynamic brings up a massive point about reality TV culture.
Yes, because this cannot be how normal families operate.
I was reading an extensive thread on Reddit breaking down this exact summit. A user pointed out that reality TV amplifies relationship issues. Normal people do not expose their internal family business, their massive financial failures, and their deep-seated sibling rivalries to millions of strangers.
Never. I would take my petty sibling arguments to the grave before I let a television network broadcast my brother calling me a slimy lawyer.
The presence of cameras inherently warps the conflict. It creates a perverse incentive structure. The conflict is no longer just about the Jordan Lane project, it's about who looks stronger to the viewing audience.
It's all posturing.
So the question we have to ask ourselves during the summit is, would these brothers even be speaking right now if there weren't cameras in their faces forcing them to resolve this for a storyline?
Oh, absolutely not. It would be 100% legal correspondence. They would only see each other in depositions.
Exactly.
And cameras are the only thing keeping them in the same room, and even then, they can barely stand the sight of each other. The tension is so thick, you could cut it with a drywall knife.
A pink spackle drywall knife, specifically.
Precisely. Oh my goodness, my heart rate is soaring. I need another massive sip of this rum lemonade before we move on because, babes, we have some heavy debates to settle.
It is time for our favorite part of the show, the segments.
Let's get into it. Segment 1. Southern Belle Energy Rankings.
Or, more accurately, the Covert Operations and Passive Aggression Index.
Yes. Who brought the strongest, most potent energy this episode? And we are judging on the full spectrum of behavior. The classy, the messy, the shady, the dramatic. Who is taking the crown this week?
Well, I have to give a strong honorable mention to Kimmy for the Passive-Aggressive Puppeteer Award.
Oh, definitely.
The way she sits there looking absolutely flawless, stirring the pot, sipping her beverage, while openly admitting she orchestrates her husband's anger so he goes to war with his brother, that is top-tier strategic warfare.
She keeps her hands meticulously clean while the men get bloody in the mud.
She really does.
That is such a valid read. Kimmy is definitely the stealth bomber of the cast. But for the absolute messiest, most chaotic energy, I have to give it to Tisha.
Spinning the block queen.
The way she was stuttering, blinking rapidly, wearing that perfectly tailored outfit on her double date, batting her eyelashes while completely rewriting the history of her marriage. Oh, I didn't mean to sexually bless your heart.
It was giving pathological delusion wrapped in a polite smile.
Tisha definitely wins the award for sheer historical revisionism. But if we are talking about the most lethal, cut you down to the bone shade,
Oh, we know who that is.
the ultimate crown has to go to Tisha. The only person that don't defend you is your husband.
Brutal.
She delivered that line with the cold precision of a sniper and then skipped the self-defense class because she knew she had already inflicted fatal damage. That is dark, devastating energy.
She dropped a nuclear bomb and then retreated to her bunker to put up pink drywall. Absolute madness.
Okay, moving on to segment 2. This one is directly inspired by our own personal trauma from earlier tonight.
Oh, no.
The segment is called, Could This Relationship Survive Italian Class?
A true test of marital fortitude and emotional regulation.
We established that learning a language together is incredibly chaotic and vulnerable. If these couples had to go to our adult Italian class, sit next to each other, and conjugate verbs in front of Giovanni, who would emotionally collapse first?
This is the easiest analytical question of the night. Tisha and Marsau would not survive the introductory syllabus.
They would be drafting divorce papers before the first coffee break.
Marsau would tell Tisha she's pronouncing buongiorno wrong and damaging their brand.
You are doing it BMDS by my damn self. He would absolutely try to take over the class. He would try to teach Italian to the native Italian instructor.
Actually, Giovanni, the way you conjugate that shows a profound lack of leadership.
I am screaming, and Tisha would respond by furiously slapping pink spackle on Giovanni's whiteboard. It would end in complete structural breakdown.
What about Trisha and Ken? How do they handle the vulnerability of learning?
Trisha would try to charm her way out of doing the homework, get caught by the instructor, and then tell Ken, conjugating verbs doesn't mean it's linguistic. I didn't mean it grammatically.
I spun the block on the Rosetta Stone, Ken. I didn't mean it like that.
They are all so unhinged. Okay, segment 3, dinner party disaster scale. We want to rate how chaotic each cast member would be at a fancy sit-down dinner party after exactly 2 glasses of wine.
2 glasses is the psychological danger zone.
Exactly. I will start. Tisha, after 2 glasses of wine, is a Category 5 hurricane of oversharing. She is definitely leaning across the table, grabbing the waiter by the wrist, and confessing to 3 more blocked spins that no one even asked about.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I slipped with the sommelier in 2018, but Ken and I are better together now.
Meanwhile, Ken would just be quietly chewing his steak, staring into the void, calculating his residual checks.
For me, Marsau, after 2 glasses of wine, is giving a TED Talk no one asked for.
Oh, God, yes.
He is standing up, clinking his glass with a fork, and lecturing the entire table about the 5-year plan of the culinary industry while aggressively insulting the host's choice of flatware.
Your napkins are damaging the brand of this dinner party. He would completely ruin the vibe.
And Chris Fletcher.
Oh, Chris, after 2 glasses of wine is handing out glossy business cards for properties he is no longer legally allowed to sell, telling everyone he is the pillar of the appetizer spread.
While Nell furiously scrambles around the table trying to collect the cards before an agent from the Real Estate Commission crashes through the dining room windows.
It is a circus. A beautiful, messy, deeply flawed circus. Okay, our final segment, segment 4. Summer delusion check.
Oh, time to turn the mirror on ourselves.
We need to turn the mirror on ourselves and on the Snark Squad. Because analyzing these people's delusions is fun, but we all have our own brand of crazy. So what is your current summer delusion? Are we in our soft girl era, our fitness era, travel era, rich era?
I will be devastatingly honest with you and the listeners. I am not in a fitness era. I am not in my soft girl era.
Then where are you?
I am purely 100% in my emotionally spiraling with cocktails while pretending to understand Italian era.
Yes.
I am actively paying money to be confused by a handsome man twice a week and then analyzing reality TV stars who make worse choices than I do to feel a fleeting sense of superiority. That is my authentic truth.
I respect the deep self-awareness. My summer delusion is that I am currently in my effortlessly wealthy estate owner era.
I love that for you.
I want to float around a massive house I don't have to clean, wearing loose linen, holding gardening shears, but never actually cutting a single branch.
But the stark reality.
The reality is I am sitting here drinking rum out of a coffee mug, genuinely stressing about whether or not Twan is going to permanently ruin Destiny's reputation as a reliable source of gossip. My priorities are in the absolute gutter.
We are permanently tethered to the drama of Huntsville. We have no escape.
We really don't. But you know what? That is exactly why we have each other.
It's true.
As we start to wrap this up, I just want to bring the energy back down to a cozy place. It has been a massive weekend of chaos, but sitting here, drinking these rum lemonades and processing this absolute madness with you all, it heals me. It truly does.
It is arguably the most cost-effective form of group therapy available to us right now.
It really is. Snark Squad, we love you so incredibly much. We appreciate you hanging out with us today.
We see your comments, we read your hot takes.
And we absolutely love spiraling together every single weekend. You are our people, and we would not want to navigate this mess with anyone else.
Make sure you do all the things that keep the algorithms happy. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes, and slide into our DMs. We want your messy stories. We want your hot takes on the Marsau and Tisha dynamic.
And we desperately want to know what your current summer delusions are so we feel slightly less alone in ours.
Tell us everything. But before we let you go to recover from this reality TV hangover, we want to leave you with one final, deeply provoking thought to chew on throughout the week.
Think about this as you go about your day. We've talked extensively about the artificial pressure cooker of television.
Right.
If the network executives pulled the plug tomorrow, if the cameras packed up all their gear, the lighting crews left, and the Bravo machine drove out of Huntsville forever, how many of these people would actually still be sitting at the same dinner table a year from now? If there was no paycheck, no audience to perform for, and no public brand to protect, who actually survives the silence? Tisha and Marsau, Tricia and Ken, even the Scott brothers. Let us know in the comments.
Oh, that just gave me chills. The silence. They wouldn't know what to do with the silence. They wouldn't have a confessional booth to vent in.
They just have to sit there and actually listen to each other. And that might be the scariest thought of all.
Terrifying. On that haunting note, we are going to go finish these lemonades and practice our Italian apologies for next week.
Ciao, babes.
Stay spicy.
Stay delusional.
And we will see you on the Snark side.